1. All right, it's time for some fantasy football. Week 7. Looks like the Cowboys game just ended. I just got home from baseball practice, Dave. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I just got home from football, my son's last football game, so same here. But I did follow up on the game. Dallas eked out a win here. Chargers looked good though. It was a good game actually.
Yeah, I was following along too. I hit my prop over Pollard over the. It took until the third or fourth quarter. I was coaching after the first quarter. I was able to watch the first, probably almost the first half, and then I had to coach. But it looks like he got like 80 yards or something. So that was pretty good. Yeah, 7 targets, 6 receptions, and 80 yards. It must have been that last reception. So that was good. Pollard, I knew he'd have to have a big game, but it looks like he broke one to help secure the win there. So good for them. The bye weeks are really rolling in, aren't they?
6 teams on bye this week, so definitely listen up right now because there's going to be a lot of people on bye this week that you're going to be missing. Some teams more than others, of course, but we'll start with the Dallas Cowboys, who just won tonight. Actually, they're going to be on bye next week. So Tony Pollard, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks possibly. Probably no one's really starting Jake Ferguson, probably, maybe unless you had bye week fill-in or something. But those are going to be the big names for Dallas Cowboys, of course. Houston Texans, who actually have been surprising people lately. They've been actually looking very, very good. CJ Stroud has been, I think, the pick of the draft right now over Bryce Young. But he will be on bye, so you get him out of your lineups. Tank Dell will be on bye. Collins will be on bye as well. The other receiver that's looking good for them, their other young receiver, Nick Collins. And then Damian Pierce, possibly Devin Singletary. So those are going to be the running backs for them. But those are the ones, Texans, you want to get on buys. The Jets, borderline Zach Wilson, you're probably not starting him. Garrett Wilson, though, you're definitely starting him. And then definitely Breece Hall. Delvin Cook, probably not. You're probably not starting him either, but Breece Hall is the big one out of that bunch, I think, for the New York Jets. Definitely get him on your bench. Tennessee Titans, we'll talk about the injuries here, but quarterback, you're probably not really starting Ryan Tannehill, but especially now that he may be injured, but we'll get into that in a little bit. DeAndre Hopkins, borderline maybe. Derrick Henry, definitely. Derrick Henry's the big one on the Titans that you definitely he's a top 10 running back, so definitely get him out of your lineups. Cincinnati Bengals, a lot of people on the Bengals that you're going to have to go to your lineups. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. So, yeah, definitely quite a few there. You're not starting any tight ends from the Bengals, so I'm not even going to those. Carolina Panthers, actually, they've been actually surprising. Chuba Hubbard, Michael Sanders, and then Bryce Young, actually. And then actually the receivers there haven't been too bad. Actually, Adam Thielen has been a fantasy stud and surprise this year. So you will be missing him mightily this week.
Yep, there you go. Lots of fantasy impacts here. So lots to choose from coming up this week. But there are certainly some injuries, Dave, and I'll get started with that. Running back Damian Harris will be out a while with the neck injury. That would look pretty serious, and the Buffalo ambulance came in, gave you a little deja.
Oh yeah, they had the worst luck with players. Another ambulance under the field
on a night game too. Again, deja vu almost, but no one died and then came back to life at least.
Yeah, quarterback. Yeah, it's just crazy.
No doubt. Quarterback Justin Fields, dislocated figure. Day to day or week to week, we don't know. I would be shocked if he came and played. That the swelling can go down.
Right now for this week, so he's probably for sure out this week, and then after that,
I've had dislocated fingers come back after the swelling. It's just I don't know. I'm gonna say no, but I would say that he should be back in 2 weeks then. And it's not too bad. But I'm really curious to see if this young kid's got any gumption. So, he came in and did a little bit of good and then did some bad, but we'll see what happens. He's on the waiver wire, of course. David Montgomery hurt his ribs and will most likely miss this week. So that was a big one. A quiet one is Kyron Williams for the Rams. He went out and will miss next week due to a sprained ankle. Kareem Hunt had a big game versus the 49ers. Actually, he's not injured. He is in my waiver wire. I put him in the wrong spot. Trevor Lawrence injured his knee, but should be okay day to day. Jimmy Garoppolo hurt his back and was ruled out, and he might miss next game. And so it'd be backup versus backup with the Raiders versus the Bears. So if you can think of any worse game, then now you have backup versus the backup. Christian McCaffrey, he hurt his oblique, and he could miss a week or so from what I'm hearing too. That's a big
that can even be more like in baseball. They can miss up to like 4 to 6 weeks if it's a serious one. So that's an injury to watch. Definitely, that could be a week injury or it could be 4 to 6 weeks. It just depends on how bad it is.
And they'll be quiet about that too. They'll probably make him questionable every week. One of those annoying ones. Deebo Samuel hurt his shoulder and might miss some time too from the same team. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill hurt his ankle, but at least they have a bye week this week. And I think that's all I have, Dave. Anything else?
No, you hit on all the main ones. There's a lot of IDP guys, but I'm not going to get into those. But there's a lot of key IDP guys that were knocked out this week as well. I'll just name a couple of the top ones actually. Tyson Campbell from the Jaguars, and then we got Eddie Jackson from the Bears, Frankie Lavu from the Panthers. He's a stud linebacker, and then Marcus Williams, actually safety for the Ravens. So, and then Anthony Hamilton. He's not as this top of a guy, but those are some big names actually that got hurt this week as well. So there's a lot of injuries this week on the injury front. So, and then Baker Mayfield actually too had a contusion on his left hand. I don't see him missing any time either, but we definitely got to keep an eye on the Ryan Tannehill and Christian McCaffrey injuries. I think those could be more than a several weeks actually, or more than a 1 week injury for those possibly.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you get in the waiver wire?
Sounds good. Waiver wire, Sam Howell. I know we talked about him previously, but this guy just keeps putting up numbers. I like this guy. He's still not over 50% owned in a lot of leagues. So if he's still out there, definitely pick him up. He had 3 touchdowns this past week and 0 interceptions. This guy just keeps playing better and better. He's already got, for the season, he's 145 for 214 attempts. He's at almost 70%, 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. And he has a little rushing to him too. So I think he's a lot better than a lot of the other quarterbacks out there right now. Big guys that we're going to be talking about though right now, Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason. That McCaffrey injury is scary. The obliques, they could be anywhere from a week to 4 weeks to 6 weeks. So we don't really know more on that. We'll find out more tomorrow. But
I'd be shocked if Elijah Mitchell's available in your league. But if he is, you got to grab him.
Yeah, definitely. Jordan
It'd be a massive issue if somebody left him on the waivers and not handcuff CMC, because I have CMC in the league and I can't even handcuff him because Mitchell's gone,
Yeah. So, but if he is out there, definitely grab him. He is available in a few of my other leagues I know, so definitely grab him. Roscoe Johnson, he didn't play this past week. Deontay Foreman was the guy who led the way. So if he's still out there, grab him. If Johnson's still out there, definitely grab him because he should be back this week. He had a concussion last week, so he will be back. For the David Montgomery injury, definitely Craig Reynolds. He actually looked pretty good last week. I was watching this game last week, and actually Craig Reynolds actually looked pretty solid. So he'd be a very nice bye week fill-in if you can get him. And I'd spend a good chunk of your free agent budget on him if you do need a running back this week or for the next couple weeks even maybe. We'll see how the injury for David Montgomery holds up. Latavius Murray for the Bills. He's going to be the fill-in for Damian Harris. The running game is just in shambles right now for the Bills. James Cook doesn't look that good right now. Just their line is not blocking for him. But the guy that Kia was talking about, Kareem Hunt, he looked really good this week. I think he's starting to get a little healthy. He's getting his legs back underneath him. He could be a guy that could, going forward, could put up some nice fantasy points for you. Him and Jerome Ford pretty evenly split carries this past week. Jerome Ford still got a few more carries, but Kareem Hunt is definitely going to get the receiving yards. The other guy too, Rashid Rice, we talked about him briefly the last couple weeks, but he keeps performing as well. So then definitely another guy. And Luke Musgrave for the Packers. He was injured last week and then had a bye, but he's actually running a route of 67% of the time the team has dropped back to pass. So, and he's kind of like one of Love's main go-to people right now in safety valve. So if he's out there after waivers, after their bye week, someone maybe dropped him, definitely look at picking him up if you need someone to fill in for tight end this week.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I like it. I have a few more. I have Juwan Jennings for the Deebo Samuel injury. I think that could be an interesting pickup. Rashid Shaheed from the Saints, man. He was awesome last week. I don't know how, but he's just a speculative pickup, at least right now.
He's a do or die guy, though. He's inconsistent. He's a big game or no game at all. Kind of, he'll have like just a couple catches for nothing, or he'll have one big, huge yard gain and then like a touchdown maybe. So he's hard to judge every week, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. Wandale Robinson, in case he's still in your waivers, he's still only 36% of Yahoo leagues. He's the number one guy for the Giants, and he's getting a lot of play. So I like him, but I also like Kendrick Bourne. I mean, there's not a lot to do with the Patriots, but they're always having to chase points and they're always having to throw to receivers. So Kendrick Bourne, just
10 catches this week, Kendrick too. He had 10 catches this week, which is pretty nice if you're in PPR.
11 targets, yeah, too, totally. Kendrick Bourne is looking pretty good to me if you need receiver help. Aiden O'Connell for the Raiders could be a streamer this week, and just like Tyson Bagent for the Bears and the Fields injury is a streamer this week. And the Raiders defense isn't that good. They cover deep, but they leave a lot of openings, in the middle, in the seams, and then obviously the dink and dunk stuff, they allow that. So maybe you can get some good yards from that. Craig Reynolds should be huge for the Lions for Montgomery's injury if Gibbs isn't even completely healthy too, because Gibbs has been hurt himself. So maybe Craig Reynolds is the guy this week. We'll see. And the Detroit's offense, ooh, that's tasty. You want some of that. Salvin Ahmed is really the handcuff for Mostert right now. It looks like Wilson was not the man, and he's still on IR. So Salvin Ahmed, pick him up if you get a chance. He can be a monster this week. Zach Evans for the Kyron Williams injury. I think he's the only one left since they traded Akers. Totally agree with your Sam Howell, Kareem Hunt, obviously, and Latavius Murray will get more carries for the Harris injury from Damian Harris. And I don't like the Bills either, but, if you're desperate, he's definitely one to pick up. Someone just asked us, ASDAFG Hop. What's up, guys? What do you think of the Kamara and Tank Dell for Evans and Brian Robinson? Which Evans? It's not the one I just mentioned, right? Not Zach Evans, right?
No, it's gonna be Mike Evans.
Yeah, I would hope it's Mike Evans,
yeah,
because Zach Evans is the one that's playing this week. I just mentioned
no one's got Zach Evans.
No, I wouldn't trade Mike Evans and Brian Robinson for Kamara and Tank Dell, I don't think. I think that I like Brian Robinson a lot with Washington, and Kamara's, he's going to get a lot of little receptions, and he's been, and that's just been his thing right now. But Carr's got to throw it down the field, and something's wrong with the Saints. I just don't know. They're terrible in the red zone. Tank Dell is kind of injured right now too. Just he's a little bit
right now, yeah. But it depends what kind of league you're in, though, too. Is it a PPR league or is it a Dynasty league? That's the thing, too. Dynasty league, I'm definitely keeping Tank Dell and Kamara for the Dynasty league. But right now, if you're looking to win the next couple of weeks, you definitely like the Mike Evans, Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson's been a stud this year so far at running back. He's probably, in fantasy points, he's probably got to be the top 10 fantasy back right now with the amount of touchdowns he scored. So I definitely like that side of it. I have to agree with you on that. But for Dynasty League wise, though, I would definitely still lean toward Kamara and Tank Dell, because I think Tank Dell could be a stud down the road.
Well, Evans and Kamara are old, but Brian Robinson's still young, only his second year, and Tank Dell. So it's tough for both.
Trade,
I think it's an interesting trade. I just kind of would stick with Brian Robinson. I'll tell you this: Evans is really the only guy doing anything for Tampa. So if this is just a 1-year deal, Evans and Robinson. And I want that side of it. So I'm not sure which side you're trading. But I think I like the Evans and Robinson a little bit more, just because I can't trust Tank Dell completely yet. I can trust Mike Evans. All right. Good question.
It also depends who you have on your roster currently right now, too. Is the person deep at running back and receiver, or where they're deep at, too, who else they have. So that's another thing I would look at, too. Because if you're already deep at receiver, then I would definitely go for a Kamara. But if you need a receiver, Evans is going to be more valuable, though, too. So it all depends on that as well.
Oh, for sure. But thanks for the question. And just like we mentioned, there's some good receivers out there on waivers. And, you grab one of those running backs that might be needed, like Craig Reynolds, Kareem Hunt. You got a streamer this week. So, try to focus on that first before the trade. Thanks for the question, man. And it's a PPR redraft league, so he clarified that. 9 stars trending up for week 7. Running back A.J. Dillon for the Packers against a weaker Denver defense. Now, I know I'm really hoping Jones comes back. I think that Jones can just eat this defense up alive. But I think AJ Dillon's still going to get a lot of carries because Jones still be a little bit, tender. So I like him. Jordan Love for the same reasons against Denver's defense, and he better actually not look terrible the first half like he has in these last few games. Jesus.
Oh my God! Don't even get me
Zach,
started.
running back Zach Evans versus Pittsburgh's bad D is a start for sure. So that's the big streamer that I like.
What
Zach
about Ronnie
Evans,
Rivers though? Ronnie Rivers was the backup there too before, but he got a little banged up this past week too. But
he's doubtful. I think he's
Okay.
listed as doubtful, and that's why I didn't mention Ronnie Rivers. But I think it's going to be Zach Evans. Oh, that could change. I'll pull it up while I'm going over the rest of this stuff. I think. Actually, let's do it right now. Yeah, Ronnie Rivers still a big D by his name, so there you go. D for D nasty. We have. I only have a few. Derek Carr might actually move the ball against Jacksonville's pass defense. They give up a lot of passing yards. Aiden O'Connell might be a good streamer against the Bears defense this week, so he's trending up too. Wan'Dale Robinson versus Washington's D. Washington won that game, but they gave up over 400 yards to Atlanta. It's like Atlanta just couldn't punch it in the red zone, and it's just Atlanta should have won that game. Wide receiver Amari Cooper versus the Colts could have a huge game. I don't think he's a starter for everybody, and I just think this week he would be, even if it's PJ Walker. But I think there's a chance Deshaun can come back too. So keep your eye on that. That's my non-stars trending up, Dave. What are yours?
Yeah, I do like yours. I agree with you on the Packers. I like Love. I like Aaron Jones. I think he is back after the bye. I think that was enough time now. He was pretty close before. I think they just held him out to get him more healthy. 49ers, I think, are going to feast on the Vikings. I definitely like Ayuk if he's not being started already, and then possibly Jawan Jennings too against the Vikings. The Vikings D has not looked good at all this year. I think Seahawks. I think Jackson Njoku Smith finally breaks out against the Cardinals. Poor defense. I like that matchup. Atlanta's actually been looking pretty good. Drake London's coming around. Kyle Pitts is coming along. I kind of like them as non-trenders staying up. The Buccaneers have a decent defense still, but those guys have been trending up the last couple of weeks even though. So I kind of like them, even though they're going against a decent defense. I still like the Falcons, the receivers and tight end for them trending up as well. Giants, like you said, the Washington D just gets shredded. A lot of their games are higher scoring for the Commanders. So I'm actually I'm going to like Dwight Robinson, and I like actually Daniel Jones. I hate to say it, but I think Daniel Jones can bounce back this week and have a good game. So the Commanders don't have very good secondary. So I do like that matchup. The Bills, I think Latavius Murray actually can get some carries this week against the Patriots. They can actually look pretty good. I like Gabe Davis too against Patriots. Patriots have just looked awful this whole year. So I don't feel sorry for Belichick at all, though, still. But definitely some more players trending up. I do like Aiden O'Connell, like that pick if he does start. Brian Hoyer might start though too because he was the backup this week, which I didn't get because Aiden O'Connell started the week before when Garoppolo was hurt, but then they had Brian Hoyer as the backup this weekend and O'Connell as the emergency backup. So keep an eye.
Yeah, I was thrown on that too. Yeah, I still threw Aiden O'Connell because I thought he did okay when he played the Chargers.
He was solid actually, so that's why I don't get that. And plus, I'd want to develop my younger guy anyways, but. So keep an eye on that, but I definitely like whoever's starting. I think Hoyer could still put up some good numbers too as well. So whoever's starting against the Bears, I do like that matchup as well.
All right, for sure. Why don't you get in a bus?
All right, bus this week. Trevor Lawrence. I hate to say it, but the Saints D is still pretty good defense, and Lawrence is banged up too as well. So I'm downgrading him a little bit this week against that tough D. Another one I'm downgrading is going to be the Vikings. Kirk Cousins. I do not like him. With Jefferson out and playing the San Francisco team that just lost, coming off a loss, they are going to be ready to go. And it's Monday night game. 49ers are going to crush the Vikings. So any Vikings I would not be starting this week. Cousins especially. Madison hasn't looked really good all year, so I'm definitely downgrading him if he was even a starter for you. So definitely downgrading them. Another one I don't really like, the Rams, actually. Their running back, with Kyron Williams possibly being out, I don't like the backups for them. The run game is going to struggle. Stafford could struggle too, maybe because they're keying off on him. Steelers do have a good D. They like to rush the passer, so that could be trouble there when they have no running backs and they have playing against some good pass rushers and TJ Watt and the rest of their linebackers. So not a good matchup as well. Patriots, Mac Jones is just awful and dreadful. He's not probably a starter for you at all, but I'm downgrading him and the receivers though, and even maybe Ramad Stevenson too. Against that tough Bills D, even though they lost a couple key starters, they're still playing well, and the Patriots are not playing well. So definitely downgrading them. And I was going to say too, the Ravens actually, Lamar Jackson, the Detroit is for real. 5-1, one of the best teams in the league, and their defense is legit. So I'm going to downgrade the running backs for the Ravens if they're even borderline stars, and Lamar Jackson. I'm going to be a guy I'm trending down this week.
Totally, man. I'm worried for the Ravens this week. You know, they're big favorites here by 3. I disagree with that too. But let's I mean, I have a lot of the same ones as you. I wrote down Mac Jones. I wrote down Ramondre Stevenson. I wrote down Trevor Lawrence as all bust. I'm going to write down Jonathan Taylor because I don't think he's a starter yet because he just came back.
He's not. Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Yeah, and the Browns D has been looking legit too. They actually, for the 49ers who put up 40 plus on the Cowboys, they held them to 19 points. So Cleveland Browns D might be for real, actually.
No doubt, no doubt. Kirk Cousins, I agree with that. You know, versus the Niners D, I don't like really too many. I wrote it was Alexander Madison. I don't think he's going to move the ball much either. I'd hate to start him against a pissed off Niners team from last week.
Exactly.
Gus Edwards, I wrote down same reasons versus Detroit D, and Raheem Mostert. I hate to say it, and I know he's the only guy really for the Miami right now. And I did mention the guy you got to pick up off waivers, obviously, in Salvin Ahmed. But man, Raheem Mostert could just get crushed against this Eagles D, and then they're stuck passing the ball the whole time. So would I downgrade him? I'm not saying that if you don't have a better option, that not start him because he's still a starter and still one of the top performers. But man, I'm just saying it's just a tough week playing the Eagles right now, and they're going to be a pissed off team after the Jets loss as well. So I'm a little concerned about that.
And
Michael Pittman.
And they have a good D line too. So I definitely like that pick as well.
Yeah, I said Michael Pittman versus Cleveland, I think. So him too. Well, that brings us to our nasty sleeper, Dave. So why don't you go first? Who you have?
All right. Well, I'm going with the hometown favorite, but I'm going with Jordan Love. You're going to love to have him in your lineup this week against that poor Broncos D. And I think he bounces back, and I think he has a good first half for one of his games now and kind of breaks out this week against the Denver Broncos.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I'm going to go with Zach Evans versus Steelers. I think he's this nasty one. I'm talking nasty, Dave. Like stuff people don't even think about, my friend. There you go. Zach Evans. You know, no one's thinking about that. Yeah. With everyone else doubtful or out of this game, the Steelers have the 29th ranked rush defense, my friend. This one could be a sneaky one to win your league. I would definitely play him in your weekly fantasy DFS as well because he's going to be cheap on the cheap getting him.
I definitely like that. Yeah, I definitely like that pick. And DFF is yes. DFS is yes.
100%, Dave. All right, my man. Anything we miss in fantasy?
I don't think so. Everyone, good luck this week and make sure you get those bye players out of your lineups.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to this show. If you have any questions for us, feel free to tweet us at the Oddsbreakers. Enjoy the rest of your week and go get some winners.
Nice.